Have you ever seen lightning strike twice? I have, except it wasn't twice, it was thrice, and the sound was unforgettable. It sounded like this. It was February 4th, 1994. The world premiere of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective was in full swing. Jim Carrey must have been pinching himself. He probably thought this would be the biggest night of his life, except that he would do it 2 more times 5 months apart that very year. The year prior, 1993, Jim was busy shooting back-to-back-to-back on 3 feature films. He was solving pet mysteries with Ace Ventura, living a double life with The Mask, and taking an IQ-challenged road trip in Dumb and Dumber. Did Carrey predict his own success? Who turned down the role of Ace Ventura? Did Jim Carrey ever have another year like this one? Well, sit back, relax, grab a couple of big gulps, and join me as we travel back to 1994, the best year Jim Carrey ever had. If you were a kid in the 90s, you couldn't avoid Jim Carrey. What am I saying? You didn't have to be a kid. Everyone was introduced to Jim Carrey in 1994. I remember I saw the clip where he runs through the airport with a suitcase and falls off the tarmac in Dumb and Dumber. I saw that clip in a GameStop, weirdly enough. At school, kids were constantly saying the Ace Ventura catchphrase, "Alrighty then." However, my first full watch-through of this new comedian was with The Mask. But just how new was Jim Carrey at this point? The truth is, Carrey had started doing stand-up comedy when he was 15 in Toronto, where he grew up. He moved to Hollywood when he was 19. If we scroll through his IMDb page, we can see that he was in a bunch of movie and TV roles that you've probably never heard of. Like, what's The Duck Factory? It says it's a TV show. Have you heard of this? It was made in 1984. The plotline says it's about the comic adventures of the employees of a hard luck animation company. Apparently, Carrey played Skip Tarkenton. Here's a more detailed plot. Skip Tarkenton is a young animator who's just started with a low-budget animation company that produces The Dippy Duck Show. As the new guy, Skip is often the brunt of office politics and has to deal with his own lack of confidence. It only lasted 13 episodes. Okay, anyway, let's keep scrolling. I've heard about Once Bitten, the one where he's a virgin and a vampire lady sets her sights on his blood. I've heard of Peggy Sue Got Married. He played a small part in that, I guess. Also this one, Earth Girls Are Easy. I haven't seen it, but when swiping through Amazon, I've noticed the thumbnail. It wasn't until 1990 that Carrey joined the cast of In Living Color. It was here that many people first saw him. It was an African-American focused sketch comedy show. In fact, many people associated Jim as the funny white guy from In Living Color. He was hilarious as Fire Marshal Bill. That's the character that popped out the most to me when I was a kid. My family didn't have cable, so I had to watch my mainstream TV when we were on my dad's business trips. He was part of that show until its final year, 1994. It ended because the Wayans brothers were having a dispute with the Fox channel. In 1993, a full year before In Living Color's last season, Jim Carrey acted like a dutiful squirrel. He gathered his nuts for the following winter. The first of these proverbial nuts was Ace Ventura, a movie that was actually intended to star Rick Moranis. I can picture it, but not well. Also, a guy named Andrew Fanton apparently turned down the role of Ace as well. Who the hell is Andrew Fanton? I don't know, do you? Please inform me in the comment section. While doing several read-throughs of the script, Carrey couldn't quite picture how Ace would talk. It didn't come to him right away. He started by adding a catchphrase that he'd used in his stand-up routine, the "alrighty then" line. He started reading the script with that voice, and suddenly it clicked. The character of Ace Ventura was born. He also ad-libbed this part, which caught me completely off guard when I was first watching the movie. I can't picture anyone else making this role work. It's been tried, believe me. It's not just the crazy antics that Jim Carrey brings to the role. Yes, Ace is a straight-up cartoon character. Originally, though, he was written to be a bumbling idiot who lucked his way through the movie. However, Jim insisted that he actually be good at what he does. So yeah, he's a weirdo with outlandish character traits, but he's also legitimately knowledgeable about what he's talking about in the movie. Jim's a smart actor. It shows that he really cares about the characters he plays. It's not just wackadoodle with no direction. The film's director, Tom Shadyac, was worried that the film might end he and Jim Carrey's career. Thankfully, it helped cement both of their fates for years to come. Next up on Carrey's filming schedule was The Mask, This film was an essential building block of Jim's 1994 movie lineup. While Ace Ventura was a wacky and almost otherworldly character, Stanley Ipkiss was, when not wearing the mask, much more down-to-earth for a Jim Carrey character. He's a pushover who's down on his luck and craving respect. When he finds the titular mask in the river, it changes his life. This is where he gets to show off his live-action cartoon abilities. The role couldn't have been more tailor-made for him. The film's director, Chuck Russell, said that the movie saved a lot of money when they cast Carrey. His facial expressions and body movements were so cartoonish that they didn't need to enhance them digitally in post. And did you know that the huge teeth he wears throughout the movie was only supposed to be used during silent scenes? However, Jim learned to talk and perform while wearing it the whole time. That looks hard to do. Also, the iconic banana yellow suit was based on a creation his mother made for him during his stand-up days in Toronto. It seems like every role he did that year was created using elements of his personal life. All three of the movies that came out for Carrey in 1994 were huge hits. However, The Mask was the first movie of the three to cross 100 million in America. Check it out. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective grossed $72 million in America and $107 million worldwide. The Mask grossed $119 million in America alone and $351 million worldwide. When we come to Dumb and Dumber, it grossed $127 million in America and $246 million worldwide. So domestically, it just got better with each movie released that year. The last movie in his production schedule for the year was, of course, Dumb and Dumber. It was yet another shade of character to round out his offerings for 1994. I love Lloyd. He's such a clueless idiot, yet he thinks he's so smart. A good example of how this role could have been annoying and unlikable can be seen in Dumb and Dumber When Harry Met Lloyd and Dumb and Dumber 2. That movie in particular turned Harry and Lloyd into mean-spirited jerks. I ignore that it exists, that's the best way to do it. The first film was great though. It has some surprising moments of heart in it as well. A scene that always jumped out at me was this sincere moment between Harry and Lloyd. Lloyd confides in Harry that he's sick and tired of being a nobody. That he's sick and tired of having nobody. From that moment on, you trust that no matter what stupid idiot things these characters do in the movie, there's an actual beating heart inside of them. It makes all the difference when making a movie this silly. According to the Farrelly brothers, the studio didn't want Jeff Daniels for the film, but Jim Carrey insisted that a real actor, as opposed to a comedian, play opposite him to ground him in the role. The studio tried to turn Daniels off by offering him $50,000 for the role. Daniels accepted without any hesitation. His agent proclaimed that the film would kill his career, but by 1994, the film was Daniels' most successful. Jim Carrey, on the other hand, was initially offered $700,000 to appear in the film. But as luck would have it, that offer was made the same week that Ace Ventura: Pet Detective opened at #1 in the US box office. So by the time Carrey's agents had renegotiated with the film's producers, the offer had turned into $7 million, about half of the movie's total budget. By the way, the chipped tooth that Jim sports in the movie was from a real incident from his childhood. He temporarily removed it again for the movie to add that extra Lloyd spice. Again, real life influencing his roles. 1994, what a year. And it was only the beginning. Jim went on to have a huge career going forward. For the next 4 years after this, except 1996, he had at least one movie gross over $100 million at the box office each of those years. In fact, the following year, 1995, he starred in two huge hits, Batman Forever and Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, a sequel that did better than the original. What is it with Jim Carrey? How did he predict all of this? Carrey has actually talked about setting his intentions in a tangible way. In 1985, when he was 23 years old, Carrey wrote himself a $10 million check for acting services rendered, dated it 10 years in the future, and carried it in his wallet as a reminder. By the end of 1995, he blew way past that check's prediction. I mean, Ace Ventura 2 netted him $15 million alone. That's a big jump from the $350,000 payday of the first movie. By 1996, he was making $20 million a picture, which started with The Cable Guy. Strangely enough, that movie was seen as a disappointment at the time. It's interesting. Jim once talked about how he would lay in bed at night and ask the universe, what do they want? What do people want to see? The answer that he came back with was, they want to be free from concern. So from then on, he set off to make sure that the audience was always free from concern when watching him. He did this by playing characters who helped them escape their stressful lives for a couple of hours. We need more of that today. People want an escape that makes them laugh and feel good to be alive. Jim Carrey is a master of that. It's good to see him back in cartoony form with the new Sonic movies. He's by far the best part of those movies. Recently, Jim mentioned in an interview with Variety that he's retiring. I'm retiring. Yeah, probably. I'm being fairly serious. It depends if the Angels bring some sort of script that's written in gold ink that says to me that it's going to be really important for people to see. I might continue down the road, but I'm taking a break. Carrey added, I really like my quiet life, and I really like putting paint on canvas, and I really love my spiritual life, and I feel like, and this is something you might never hear another celebrity say as long as time exists, I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough. And if Jim Carrey truly decides to leave his amazing acting career behind, that's okay, because he has done enough, and he's made the world a lighter, funnier, better place than when he started. And so, let's leave Jim doing what he loves doing most these days, painting and living in the moment. Alrighty then.